Stuart,
Like,
can
go ahead.
sorry. Can
Yes.
you can you talk about the soul's choice, like anybody's incarnation, the soul's choice of the level of ascending or choosing to grow?
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I'm not sure it's the soul's choice. What your level of internal development is in this lifetime depends upon what you did in many lifetimes in the past. And if you spend time, you know, doing deep spiritual work, I don't know, in monastery or this, in some of your lifetimes in the past, the soul will evolve, and it will really be in a place where it can learn even more than it brought with it from the last lifetime. So I'm not sure it's the soul's choice. I think it's what people are really ready for. And when people are ready for deep spiritual practice, I mean, honestly, you can't keep them away. I mean, they will break down the door to get in because their need is so profound, and they're driven by this need to be with God. And it's not really a choice of the soul. It's really a part of the evolution of a human being, and let's put it this way, part of the soul's evolution, where it comes to the earth and it needs to do deeper spiritual practice. And it will fight its way through hell to find a way to learn that. So it's really not a choice of the soul. I mean, it's like it's almost a responsibility of the soul to find that kind of inner work that will really take it to a whole different level, transcendental level of consciousness and development on its path, to oneness with God. So I don't think, the soul comes here, now let me choose. Do I want vanilla or chocolate? I mean, it comes and it's got to do what it really is born to do. And many, many, many souls, as I spoke about the other day, they're young souls. So what they chase in life is money and power and material things, and that represents success to them. A highly evolved soul, has a deeper reason to be here. Not saying it doesn't have to make money, because life here requires certain elements of living, but that's secondary to truly having a spiritual life, connecting with God. So I don't think look, I might be wrong. I don't know everything. I don't think the soul comes here and makes a choice. I think the soul comes here and follows deep intuition and follows a need inside it to continue to evolve and grow and develop a spiritual life, become one with God. And if one doesn't manage to attain that level in this lifetime, understand, then they will bring everything they learned in this lifetime into the next lifetime. And, I mean, I can't tell you how many lifetimes people live, to just learn these kind of things. And to me, it's not even choice. It's like destiny. It's like your fate to do this, what we're doing here. I don't see 6 billion people here on Zoom trying to learn how to develop their chakra system. Last night was 40 people, tonight there are less. But you understand, it's people that truly have that need inside themselves. It's their fate, it's their destiny to do deep spiritual practice. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, many people that aren't as highly developed think it's crazy, you know? You know, money is the answer, a great house, or this, or that. These are the answers. And, you know, of course, people take all that to the grave. Not saying we shouldn't have those things, but they should be secondary to a much deeper need, which is the oneness with God. Freedom from karma, freedom from Maya, from illusion, from that which is finite, and a connecting with what's infinite in the universe. It takes guts to do this. It really does, you know, because it's so off the beaten path, you know, of what people call life, that you're up against not only your own resistance, you're up against just about everybody else. I mean, that's what I know, that's what I was up against when I was younger. My family, friends, people I knew who thought I was nuts doing what I was doing. And yet, the volition, the sense of destiny, the sense of my fate, of what I had to do in this lifetime, it kept me on that path. And it said, no, this is more important than a white picket fence, you know, 5-bedroom house in Scarsdale, you know? You can also have a white picket fence in a 5-bedroom house and still do spiritual work. I mean, Rudy was a great example of that, you know? I mean, he was a very wealthy guy, owned buildings all over Manhattan. But, you know, having spent a lot of time around him, I never saw anybody more detached from money, from success, from all of that stuff. Yet he had it and he lived with it and he shared it. He made room for all of us to come there and study and learn from him. I mean, my life is much more modest now, but I lived in Woodstock in a freaking palace. It was just a mansion, an extraordinary house that I got. And I got it for a reason. It was very big, and I thought I could start an ashram or a healing center up there, or, you know. And when it didn't quite work out, I realized, all right, Stuart, sell it and move on and find out what the next step in your life is.
Hmm.
Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate hearing that so much, Stuart. It helps when you see the differences in people and not to judge. Gives a perspective on where they're coming from. And so I have a couple questions, but one is, what is the difference between soul and spirit? Is there a difference?
You know, look, I don't know, check in Webster's dictionary. I don't, what's the difference? If there's a difference, look, the soul encompasses everything. Spirit is one's connection to higher energy in the universe. Spirit is the soul's connection to God, higher energy in the universe. And the soul is, it's a human feeding machine. It receives all the Shakti and energy, and that energy's purpose is to develop the soul and to develop a chakra system that enables one to connect with spirit, and move closer and closer to a state of spiritual enlightenment. I mean, each of us has a soul. There's also a universal soul. I think they call it Atman, it's a universal soul. And we're trying to create a marriage between our unique and individual soul and this higher energy in the universe. So, I don't know if I can define that. The, but I do know I can talk about it, and I can, maybe not do it with a direct definition between but spirit is the link, is the ladder that connects us with what's infinite in the universe. The soul is that part of us that is constantly opening and receiving the energy that helps develop a chakra system that enables the soul to rise and connect, with spirit and connect with higher energy in the universe. I mean, that's about as close as I can get to distinguishing between the two.
Thank you, Stuart. That's beautiful. That's actually like the most beautiful explanation I've heard of it. The sort of assisting each other in a way. The other thing is I've been guided to go through my things and just become lighter in my space. As an artist, I've accumulated a lot of things, and now I want space. And so I guess my question is around, as we develop inside, how it affects the space around us. Could you talk about that?
Well, the simpler you get inside yourself, the simpler you want your life to be. I mean, I remember Rudy told me, he said, his greatest dream was to go to sleep on a potato sack, like Nityananda slept on a potato sack. He said, if I could just surrender all of this stuff that I've gained in my life and have that kind of simplicity, I mean, that kind of simplicity is a manifestation of the simplicity inside a human being. And it's important. I mean, I've refined, you can't believe I used to have a 4,000 square foot loft full of art, full. Tonkas and sculptures. And I mean, it was unbelievable, the stuff I had there. And slowly it refined, got less, and I needed less of that. Now, I mean, I still have a bunch of art. And I was talking to somebody today about selling it and just getting, finally, it's my past. Why am I trying to relive my past? Let go of all stuff and let's see what, the next step in my life is.
Beautiful. Thank you, Stuart.
The purpose of this is not to be attached to anything, because as soon as you attach yourself to people, to things, to material things, you're stuck. So you got to build a system that you can have things in your life, but you're not attached to them. They don't have you. You're strong enough to be free. And that includes family, it includes friends, it includes, and it's not a disservice to your family. You can, when you're not attached, you can love people even deeper because they can't stick that corkscrew inside you and pull out your guts, which is what attachment creates, You understand? If somebody in your family passes on, instead of moaning and this joy, and they're moving, they're taking a vacation from all this, for God's sake, and they're moving to another plane and they're going to reincarnate and, and continue on their journey. The only thing that dies is the body. The rest is constantly in a state of evolution. So yes, you get simpler inside, you're going to want to simplify your life. I mean it.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
You're welcome, dear. Thank you for the questions. Does anyone else have a question? And this meditation is about refining yourself, getting simpler. filling yourself with spirit instead of all kinds of material stuff, you know? And recognizing we're all finite. We live here, we have a certain number of years on the earth. And in that period of time, we have to learn what, getting back to Wendy's question, what enables the soul to connect with spirit and attain a state of enlightenment. Or your question, I don't remember who asked it. Somebody asked it. And this, you know, just to finish this doesn't require a specific set of circumstances. You understand? It doesn't require a specific environment you have to live in. I mean, that's one of the great things about this Zoom thing, is everybody's living in a, nobody here is living in an ashram, you know, or a monastery. Everybody's living in their own unique environment. And yet here we are all together, connected to receive the energy that manifests in these classes. So you don't, you know, I've said it many times, the real temple is life, not an ashram, not a monastery. And most people go to those places to hide out from life anyway. And I trust me, I've run them and I know. And after I left Texas, I swore I'd never do that again. I said, no, I'll have a center where people can come and they go back to their lives, you know? And that's what's unique about this. Life itself is the temple. And teachers, really, you know, everybody, you know, pranams in front of swamis and this, you know, the purpose of a teacher should be only one purpose, is to train people to get strong enough to be able to sit in front of the real guru, which is life. And I've said this many, many times. Not to spend your life worshiping somebody, you know, but to get the training and to be able to bow to life and to sit in front of life and let this extraordinary master called life teach us what we need to learn to grow. Maybe this is a very revolutionary idea, I don't know, but it just makes a lot of sense to me. And it's what I learned from Rudy. He always told me, don't worship me. He said to me, you know, love God, don't love me. He told me, and I loved him more than anyone in the world. He said, don't love me. One day I won't be here anymore. Love, get the training and love God, open to God. That's why you're here. That's what you've got to learn while you're with me. Does anyone else have a question? I mean, that's also out of Rudy's mouth, not mine. It's exactly what he said to me. I'm probably 20 times. Don't love me. One day I won't be here anymore. Love God. Get what I have to teach you, the training that I have to give, and use it to build your connection with God. And I'm here for the same purpose. Get what I have to teach. My job is to just give it away because, look, I'm not getting younger. One day I won't be here. Get the training, get the knowledge, get the development in yourself that can develop a chakra system that gives you a direct link with higher energy. And then maybe, God bless, you'll be able to teach somebody else how to do this. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart,
Yes, Soren.
might be a bit specific after all this beautiful soul speak, but I feel like a slight blockage around the third eye area.
Mhm.
Do you have any suggestions about like moving through that?
Well, that's,
Relieving that more?
Soren, it's a very common thing because mostly people spend almost all their lives thinking. And that congests the third eye, it congests all that energy in the forehead, the mind. And part of the meditation, and a big part of it, is learning how to get your mind focused in the chakra below the navel. That training will, there you are. That training will eliminate that blockage in the third eye. It will open you to be able to receive the real wisdom, the real knowledge, which is the energy of spirit, that God that flows from the universe. But you have to be able to get the training to keep your mind focused in the third chakra. Then when you open the heart, understand just the simple act of opening the heart, will allow that tension, that blockage to begin to flow down. And it'll release that blockage. It'll open, it's like a great lotus flower that opens in your brain, and it'll receive knowledge, wisdom, all that higher energy that the universe is dying to give to you, but you spend so many years of your life just thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking that you congest that whole area that doesn't allow that energy to flow in. So you're here to get training. That's what I do. I'm trying to help people learn how to do exactly what you expressed. And I always tell people the longest journey on earth is from the third eye to the chakra below the navel. It's the longest journey. Mastering that is the key to having a spiritual life, because it frees up everything else inside you. So have patience with yourself and don't get upset if you feel that. Slowly it'll go away. You can also do that little exercise, so hum. When you inhale, just say so to yourself. When you exhale, say hum. And just listen to your breathing and it'll become so hum. And that'll really relax the mind. It'll let that tension begin to flow down.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay. So there'll be a class on Sunday. And once again, as I end these classes, God bless you all. Thank you for being here. And I always say it, and it's true. I learn because all of you are here. And I mean that. Your presence here is helping me to grow and develop my soul and my connection with spirit and higher energy. So bless you and thank you. And I looking forward to seeing everybody on Sunday.
Thank you. God bless you, Stuart.
Good night.
Thank you, Stuart.
Good night.